What's up, guys? This is your old buddy Carolina Jackpot coming at you on Wednesday evening. So, there's like personalities, I guess, in college football that we become accustomed to. It's almost like when we can be in another room and then we hear something on the TV and we're like, oh, wow. Yeah, I hear Nick Saban talking on TV. Or, hey, that sounds like Kirby Smart or whatever. Mack Brown, despite the fact that he was on TV for however long, is not one of those people. Not flamboyant, not flashy, not really known for giving, insightful interviews. Maybe when I have heard him talk, it's like a little bit gruff, maybe. But this just like totally goes off the script and like nothing I've ever seen before. So Brad Crawford over at 24/7 Sports has this story. It was on the Gamecock BigSpur.com, and I just found this hilarious. I believe Mack is a little bit scared. I believe Mack's a little bit salty, and he's running his mouth a little bit. So it looks like in a press conference over the summer, or a recent summer update, it's talking about the Gamecocks and the game. Of course, they're going to square off with his North Carolina team opening week, Saturday evening in our home away from home, Williams-Brice Stadium North, in Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, which, let's face it, Charlotte is really part of South Carolina. It really is. And I have actually talked to some people who live in Charlotte, and they were like, man, Jackpot, I wish that my address said South Carolina on that envelope instead of North Carolina. That's how much I hate being here, but I can't help it. I can't do anything about the way things are zoned. But we're going to face off with them up there. And Mack talks about the Gamecocks. He says we give credit to South Carolina because of the way they finished, and talk about the things we did well. So they finished 9-5, and then here was the one that he goes on to say this right here. South Carolina feels good about themselves. Everybody's bragging on them. Nobody's bragging about us, and we did pretty good. So the thing we'll do is give Coach Beamer in South Carolina all the credit in the world. That little crybaby routine kind of looks similar to someone that we all know and love that resides right here in the upstate of South Kakalaki. Old William Christopher, head coach of the Tigers. I mean, he's been known for crying. He's been crying ever since 2015. He cries when they win. He cries when they lose. He cries when people show up. He cries when they don't show up. I mean, there's nothing that Dabo will not cry about. If you remember his interview last summer about the DJ Uyunglele situation, and people asking if he was going to start the freshman Cade Klubnik, or how short would DJ's leash be before he got yanked out of the game, before he put this amazing freshman in. And he's like, well, man, golly, he's told this reporter, people talk about our quarterback like he's some old slapdick from East Aboga Community College, or whatever the hell it was he said. Well, I don't know who they were, but turns out they were right. He blowed ass. That's neither here nor there, though. Let's get back to talking about Mack Brown. So right now, North Carolina's a 1.5-point favorite in that game. Do yourself a favor right now if you're a gambling person like I am. I'm not a big-time gambler. I'm a small-time forayer into a little bit of action. I'd go over there and go money line with the Gamecocks on that one. Do it now before the lines shift, because I can tell you those lines are going to shift, and South Carolina will end up being favored in that ball game before it kicks off. I'm just looking at some stuff with UNC from last year. It's the same old song and dance, Mack Brown. That's why nobody's bragging about you finishing 9-5. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn. You know why? It's because you've done the same thing last year that you do every year. You have a really good offense. You have an amazing offense that plays a taffy-ass schedule. You rack up a bunch of yards through the air. You rack up a bunch of points through the air. And you can't stop a nosebleed on defense. Now, I know the Gamecocks had problems last year with the run defense. To that point, we're not able to really address it through the transfer portal until late in the portal cycle. Hopefully that unit is better this year is all I can say. But, I mean, you're bad in all facets of the game defensively last year, UNC. I'm looking at this book. You gave up, and this is not really a defensive stat, but just goes to show how taffy that team is. You gave up 40 sacks last year. 40! And people talk about how bad South Carolina's offensive line was last year. South Carolina only gave up 20 sacks. Hell, you only had 17. Of course, I think we had less than that. Georgia Tech sacks, you see. Let's run down your schedule here. You talk about nobody respects you. Nobody had, adoring things to say about you like they did the Gamecocks. And he talks about it. He goes on to talk about how, South Carolina beat Clemson and they beat Tennessee. And he's basically saying, well, whoop-de-doo, we won all these games at the beginning of the season. They were trash at the beginning of the year, yet everybody's talking about them. Yeah, I mean, because what we did was more important than your penny-ante wins over these shit teams that you play. Let's look at this from last year, and we'll talk about this, and you tell me what you think. Of course, let's talk about the ass end of them last year, okay? Clemson and them tangled in the ACC championship game. They absolutely got their doors blown off. They were a 7-point underdog, lost 39-10. Game wasn't even that close. The week before that, they lost in double overtime to their arch rival, NC State. As a favorite, they lost. The week before that, which they had gotten all the way up to number 13 nationally. They were 21-point favorites at home. They lost 21-17 to Georgia Tech. They were up 17-0 in that ball game. They gave up 3 touchdowns in the second half and lost to damn Tech with an interim coach. Georgia Tech sacked them 6 times. How embarrassing. I mean, but they started off, what did we start off here? 9-1. Beat Florida A&M, beat App State by 2 points, 63-61. Looks like a basketball score on the road as an underdog. Congratulations. They go on the road to Georgia State, win by a touchdown. They lost at home to Notre Dame, a game in which they were favored. Virginia Tech, they were favored by 9. They beat them by 41-10. That was a good win. At Miami, a terrible Miami team, beat them by 3. At Duke, a pretty good Duke team, I guess. They beat them by 3. They're rivals, so that's a good win. Pittsburgh at home, they beat 42-24. North Carolina seems to kind of have Pitt's number for the most part. I'm not really sure about that, but they do seem to beat them. Well, maybe not. Then they go to Virginia, a terrible Virginia team. They were only favored by 7 points against them, and they beat them 31-28. I mean, this is just, and then at Wake Forest, 4-point underdog, they won 36-34. That was probably your best win of the year, was a win over Wake Forest, who was not ranked, doesn't look like at the time. So, cry me a red. There's nothing impressive about that. That is the damn taffiest slate that I've seen in a long time. I guess the only thing that we could say is you won all your games on the road. You went on the road. Every game you played on the road, you won. Like I said, albeit some of this competition was very, very questionable. In my opinion. And then, of course, you lost the bowl game to Oregon. You say, well, we were 13-point underdogs. We only lost by a point. Doesn't matter. You still lost. But, you know, I think people talk up North Carolina. Hell, your quarterback, Drake May, has like the second highest odds to win the Heisman Trophy of anyone in most places. In most preseason polls that we see at UNC, you'll see them ranked anywhere from a high from like maybe 17, 18 to a low of maybe 24, 25. They're generally in there somewhere. Gamecocks, not so much. I mean, there's only, you know, a couple of polls that I've seen that actually have the Gamecocks listed as a top 25 team anywhere. And here's something. Here's the damning part. And I've also said I'm not going to turn this video, or which, you know, I'm going to wrap up soon anyway. I'm not going to turn it into, you know, a bashing Mack Brown because he's a little bit older type thing. I'm just not going to do that. But I mean, come on, dude. He starts talking about their schedule, and this sums up both programs. I've never heard Shane Beamer talk about South Carolina's schedule and how tough it was or was not. And I listened to pretty much every one of his press conferences. I'm not going to say I listened to it word for word and take notes on it and you know, pull out my tape recorder so I can listen to it later in my sleep when I'm laying in the bed. But I listen to what he has to say. I've never heard him bitch about the schedule. Mack Brown says, you start looking at the opening part of the schedule for sure. Probably the toughest opening 4 games that I've ever been involved with. Brown said, South Carolina in Charlotte, then App State here at home, Minnesota here, and then at Pitt. My God. Yeah, he's lost it. So go ahead, put your money on the Gamecocks in this game because, you know, he's kind of lost his touch, maybe with coaching the game, also his touch on reality, and has no clue what he's talking about. Anyway, like I said, not going to turn any of this into a bashing him thing or anything else like that. So, guys, I appreciate you watching. Hit it with a thumbs up if you like this video. You can hit it with a thumbs down if you didn't like it also. Make sure you subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel as well. Most of the people that watch the videos here are not subscribed. We need to flip that stat. We need to be subscribed if you're watching the videos. I would really appreciate it. Share it somewhere on your socials. You know, it's wherever you like to share things with your friends, family, friends, foes, whatever. Get the word out about the Carolina Jackpot channel. And I will see you guys later on. Make sure you follow me on the socials on Twitter at Hall_Kale, over here at Carolina Jackpot, and you can also follow me Carolina Jackpot over on TikTok. You don't stop. I'll see you guys later. Appreciate it. Peace, and I'm out of here. And go Gamecocks. Woo! Hey, Mack Brown, do you want your Jell-O put in the refrigerator and hardened up so you can eat it, or do you want it left warm and soupy so you can suck it through a straw? See you in Charlotte.